2 seconds. I need to fix something. All right. All right. Welcome to a new live video. I apologize ahead of time. I just noticed that the Facebook version is a bit not working right now. So hopefully I can fix it while we're talking. But we have Vishesh over today. And we're going to talk a little bit about his background. And let's just welcome him and get started, I guess, right?
So, hey guys, hello and welcome everyone to this live stream. I am Vishesh. I'm currently 21 years old and living in Indore, India. I'm a cinematic lighting artist by profession. So, yes, I do light a lot. So, and thank you, Amit, for having me in this interviews. And I hope this whole thing goes smoothly and well.
So do I. I will try and fix the Facebook one in the background. So we can start with the simple questions, right? So I like to talk a little bit about how you got started and talk about your journey ahead of time. So let's break it down as easy as possible for people to understand. So let's start with your years as a student.
Pardon?
So let's
Can
start with how you studied or your path,
okay.
because you had different roles a little bit on the way too. So let's take it from the beginning up until now, and then I will pinpoint more specific questions as I listen.
Yeah, sure. I would love to. So first of all, I'm in the currently last year of my college. I study in Artemisia College of Art and Design. It's in Indore. It's a design college. So yes, I'm currently in the final year of it. So my journey started in this field around 2 to 3 years ago when I was in my second year. The first year was just kind of, you know how the first year goes in college and stuff, right? So when I started out, I was actually doing 2D stuff. I was unfamiliar with 3D and all this whole universe. So I began as a 2D background artist. I was very interested in background since the beginning. I actually tried some of the other stuff like teacher designs and character stuff, but I was never interested in all those. So finally, environment is what that stuck out to me. So I then started pursuing it and started learning about this stuff. In the earlier days, I actually did an internship in the studio. Actually, my college owns that studio. It's an animation studio here in Indore. So I was lucky enough to get an internship. The director of my college, just a big thanks to him for providing me an opportunity to work in that studio. So I learned a lot there, like how the whole animation pipeline works. How do we design backgrounds? How do we break down the shot or in a sequence? So yeah, my journey. We can say that my actual professional journey began from there. So after that, I just started doing some Photoshop stuff. I did a lot of digital paintings and things. I actually was doing some concept arts. I started learning side by side and studying other artists as well. So those were the early days when 2D art was just everything. So I mean, it's interesting that I wanted to become an environment concept artist back then because since 2D was the only thing I knew. So yeah, that justifies it. After that, some years passed by and my second year was over. So during holidays, actually a friend of mine suggested to try Blender. Since Maya was actually costly and the Blender was free and open source, and we had an holiday of around a month or so. So I just decided to try it out and give it a go. So I just, as most of us 3D artists do, I just went to YouTube and then searched Blender Guru, and then just followed the donut tutorial like step by step. I was just so new to 3D, so I was pausing, making notes, and then doing step like I was like, what value he put, I'll put the same. I don't want to mess things up, so I was just actually following very step by step him. And after 2 days, I did the whole course. I mean, the actual video was split around in 6 to 7 parts, so I completed all of them. And then when the final render came, it was just like, whoa, what did I just do? So I mean, since then, that day was I mean, that day marked my journey, marked the beginning of my journey into 3D. So I was just very much interested and fascinated by how things can look so realistically. Because earlier I was just doing paintings, and you can just push paints to a certain limit. So then when I got introduced to this stuff, I just started doing a lot of blender stuff. I watched so many other tutorials by many other artists. So, and I was doing some simulations, slow simulations, basic 3D modeling, and I learned modeling while doing all that stuff. So it was just like a whole new universe opened its door for me. So I was very overwhelmed, and I still did paintings, but that time I was just more invested in 3D. So paintings were just like I did one or two weekly, or even a couple months monthly. So my interest got shifted from 2D to 3D, and now at this point I wanted to become a 3D artist in the industry. So, but the thing about environments was still the same for me. Since earlier I was, I mean, as I mentioned, that I was interested in environments, not in characters and stuff. So I continued that part to my modeling as well. I tried character modeling, but I was not so much interested about that. I mean, I couldn't get it done as well, to be honest. So environments were the thing I can complete. I could complete as well. So yeah, I would just started 3D modeling. I would just search up some references on Pinterest and Google, and then I would try to replicate those stuff. And for some complex things, I watched some tutorials, just like how to make this thing, how I mean, just a common beginner stuff we just learn along the way. So after that, when my holidays were over and we were officially in the third year, I searched, and since I wanted to become a 3D modeler, so I did a lot of research about that during the holidays as well. And what I found out was Blender. At that time, the version I was using was 2.79. So Blender was not that much popular back then. So all the studios and job listings and all the artists I've talked to, they were all I mean, they were all suggesting that I should move to Maya or 3ds Max because Blender was not in the list. So I decided to, since I wanted to do a job in a AAA studio, so I don't want a software to let me down. So I decided to finally shift to Maya since it was more common than 3ds Max. So yeah, the shift began actually. My college opened. My faculty, my teacher helped me a lot with the early Maya stuff. He guided me. I mean, there were a lot of friends that helped me out along the way. Like I was sometime I would get stuck in a certain part, then I would ask him or ask him a friend. So then he would just uh, tell me like, oh, you are doing this wrong, you need to do you need to do it this way. So yeah, so this was the software transition. So then I fully shifted to Maya, and I was not interested in Blender anymore. I actually started liking Maya more, to be honest. I don't know, it was a hard couple weeks in the beginning, but then after that it was all just a smooth flow. So yeah, I did modeling stuff, and then at this moment I realized that only modeling wouldn't get me anywhere, so I need to start texturing as well. So then I took it upon myself to start learning Substance Painter, because that was the only name everyone is talking about, like Substance Painter industry is it's an industry standard software and stuff. So I mean, it's the same process for me. Everything I've learned, the most of it, I started it from just by making notes and started learning it from YouTube. So I searched upon a beginner's tutorial on Substance Painter. I then start so I watched it. I got a gist of it, and then I started experimenting with my previously made models. So I was actually kind of liking it. My earlier works were kind of messy. I mean, they were just meh, all right, just okay stuff. But then I actually started getting some. I mean, I since after I've done a couple of tasks, a couple of texturing work, so I actually started to get hold of the software, like how to properly use it. Because earlier sometimes what I did was I would just drag a smart material on it, and then it's like, wow, it's textured. I'm done. And then I would take some renders in the array only because I didn't know how to export textures from Substance. I actually tried it, but then as you know, when we export textures from Substance, the apart from the UV shells, there is a lot of jaggering around the edges. So when I saw it, I saw maybe I did something wrong in the texture. That's why the output is updated. So I was a
Right.
little afraid to try that out. But then I watched someone on YouTube, and his result was actually the same. So then I was like, okay, I need to try this out, and then I did. So and it all worked out like a charm. So I was very happy. Like, okay, I learned the new software, and now I can do texturing as well. So it was one more kind of, it was like one more software added to my arsenal. So I was like, okay, I'm getting prepared for a big war ahead. So
Okay.
yeah,
Where are we now? We are still from this year, last year, year before.
it's like a middle. It's a midway.
Midway. Wow, that's a lot in short time. So let's make it easier for people to digest.
Mhm.
Um, so the people who are coming and going, you are free to ask questions in the comment field. It does show up on my screen. All of them from YouTube, LinkedIn, and also Facebook is now fixed, so you can watch it for them. So let's take it a few steps back and kind of start interacting back and forth to make it a bit more challenging for you. So you're still a student, correct?
Yep.
And this is your last year, correct?
Yeah, this is my last semester.
So how many years have you been student now?
I've been like 3.5 years.
So you've been student 3.5 years. So when did you start? 2017?
Yeah, my college began in 2017, and I actually started working in 2018 after with the beginning of my second year.
Right. So that's where I think it's interesting for other people to pick up on is that already after a year as a student, you started doing internship, you started doing freelancing, and already around 2020, you started a full-time position as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You also, as a student, been a art mentor as somewhere else on top of it. You have done CGI environment artist freelancing. So let's try and break it down easier for people to understand. So, what did you do that you think is different from others, or what you did in general that made you get into internship quicker than maybe some other people? So let's talk about that first. Like 2017, you were a
Mhm.
junior first year student, but boom, you have an internship after 1 year. What happened? How did that happen? Is that school? Is it you?
I mean, the time I was ending my first year was kind of difficult for me. It was a couple hard months. I was actually isolated from all of my friends and stuff. Some things happened in my life. So to cope up, I actually started spending my time. Uh, I actually started dedicating my time to work. So just to distract my mind from all the other stuff, and then I started liking my work. So it was just like a getaway from me for me, just to escape all the other things. So that's what motivated me at first place, because I was like, I can't just be sad, or I can't just be just feel bad for a long time.
So the
I
internship, it was it from the school itself? Was it part of the routine, or was that something you did on your own?
Actually, the studio I did internship was is actually a part of my college. My college owns the studio, so I contacted my the director of the college, and by that time I had some decent works in my portfolio. So I mean he uh, uh, we had a conversation like, how can I deal with all the stress in the production environment, because I was still very young and a junior. So after once those talks were done, he offered me as a junior artist, so I could just see and learn how the actual things work.
Okay,
So,
so
so
but
that's something I learned.
that wasn't for everyone, right? That's just some people who made the initiative would be
Mhm.
able to get the intern, right?
Yeah,
Wa-
exactly.
it wasn't part of the package that every student had a chance, correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's on you, right? That's something you managed to do
Hmm.
as an individual, and your perseverance, your focus, and the time you spent. But what's interesting, and you were there about 10 months, correct?
Hmm.
And
Not.
after,
I don't recall actually being 10 months. It was like kind of. I did it for some months, and then I took a gap because the college studies were getting in
right,
between all the stuff. And then after that, but was I went back again. So it was just like,
back and
uh,
forth.
yeah, exactly.
But you stopped around 2019, correct?
Hmm. I
So,
stopped around 29
so
something.
what happened in 2019? You didn't go straight to lighting artist. What did you
No, no,
do
no.
as a freelance for the next a year or so?
I was. I did spend some time learning the Photoshop and the skills while I was in internship, and then as I mentioned, I already started learning 3D in my home, in my free time.
Right.
So my interest started getting shifted towards 3D more. So I just wanted to spend some time to myself and teach myself 3D, just to, just to get familiar with all the stuff and see what the universe 3D has. I mean, just to get familiar with all the 3D world, with all the 3D world. So
Mm.
I was just doing personal works, and by the time I got my first freelance gig, it was a project. I mean, the guy was making a video game, so he wanted me to be a background artist. It was all 2D, right? So he hired me to design some backgrounds for his game, and that was actually my first paid gig.
Right.
So yeah.
And this was part time. A
Mhm.
quick comment for everyone watching, because I see this coming and going. It would be really useful if you like the video and subscribe, because it helps with algorithm and it attracts more people to watch while we are live. So thank you for doing that ahead of time. So basically, you're saying that you do 2D, but what happened then? Because you're doing 2D and you're a student at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Or no? So you studied during daytime and then you did like part time. How did you balance everything?
Yeah, actually, my college was kind of lenient in this thing because since they were already teaching the same stuff in college, so and I was doing all that stuff professional in my job as well. So I was not that much bothered for the curriculum as long as I was submitting my assignments and doing all the exam stuff.
Hmm.
So I mean, this is the actual thing. I can say that I got lucky that my college didn't become a roadblock for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me as well. After I finished graduating, uh, my old teacher, while I was abroad studying for my last year, he had quit his teaching job and started a game company. And because I was such a good student, he gave me as well internships. So part of that is network, and part of that is luck too. So I can
Yeah,
see
exactly.
some patterns as well. Guys, you are free to ask questions if you are curious about something specific. Do not feel that you are ruining the talk or the interview. We both like that free flow kind of talk, so don't worry about it. If you have some questions, do let us know. So what happens next is you stopped by as a lighting specialist at, I think it was a Jill Media Studio or something, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it was a quite a time after I started doing 3D. It was like it was the last year in 2020. So I can say that 2020 was the beginning of my proper career as an artist.
Right.
So yeah.
Shubham, can you clarify your question? What you mean with what hits you become lighting artist? Are you asking what made him become lighting artist? That is probably a question we're gonna ask in a minute now, which fits the question because you were there for a certain time as a lighting to for this live action film.
Mhm.
Hari Singh and Nalva, I think it was right. So, what type of lighting specialist are we talking about? Is it on set or no?
I mean, the movie was kind of different what I actually imagined it to be. What I was hoping, I mean, I had a certain image in my mind before actually going there. Like you said, it was on a set. So I was just hoping for some green screens and stuff. Because when you talk about movie, it's all like, okay, those big sets and studios, like high tech machinery and stuff. But then when I actually got there, it was just like, I mean, there were PCs and stuff, there was motion capture and all these things, but it was not at that scale which I imagined. So the all the things I was doing, I mean, they were using Unreal Engine as their main final render software. So they were doing all the stuff in third party application like modeling in Maya, and then doing all the animations and stuff other side. And then at the end, they were just putting everything inside the engine, and then they were compositing all the shots in engine. So my main task there was to, I mean, first I did a lot of things related to Unreal Engine there specifically for environment. So my main tasks consists of creating sets for the shots like I was designing, or just improving the sets, or doing some iterations along the storyline, like how the set will look in this shot, and what are the requirements for the other shots as well. And then once the set was done, I was just overlooking the lighting for all the other levels as well.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, so the next thing was, is that when you realized you wanted to become like a digital lighting artist, and
Mhm.
this type of lighting is not the direction you wanted to go, and you became more confident that okay, I want to be a lighting artist, but I want to be in the digital
Mhm.
area.
Yeah.
Is that the year when you did the movie, the live action movie, that you went, okay, this is the way I want to go?
Yeah, actually, the when I was working on the movie, I actually realized so much about myself that earlier I was in a little doubt that if I can do lighting or not, do I know stuff about it or not, if I can even make the stuff. If I mean, I was like in a constant question with myself, like, will I even make it better, look better or something? Won't I ruin it or anything? But then when I actually tried the stuff on the actual virtual sets, I was like, okay, I can do this stuff, and I was a little confident about myself. Yes, I can do it professionally as well.
So to let's try and answer that very specific there. Then we have Subham Patil's question:
Mhm.
what hits you become lighting artist? So when would you say was the moment you were 100% sure that lighting artist is the way to go?
Um, I mean, there was not a specific day or a specific incident that made me realize that I wanted to become a lighting artist. Lighting was one thing that I was interested in since I began 3D, because I was really fascinated by the way it can change the look and it can create some very realistic results just by adding a couple lights. Because you don't need to know so much about, like, you need to add this light and that light and so much every other stuff just to make things look good. You can even do it with that with just a single light if you know the right settings and all the stuff. So I mean, that's what kind of intrigued me to learn lighting in a little deeper. So I mean, I started watching some YouTube tutorials, and I actually have some really great friends in the industry, like Tom, Peter, and then Boone Cotter. I mean, he's a senior lighting artist in Naughty Dogs. We had some conversations earlier before I was actually starting out as a lighting artist. So I used to do some personal pieces, and I asked them for the feedback. So they would tell me like this is something, and they also suggested me to watch movies, like, because I was not a movie head earlier back then, because I don't know, I was just not interested in cinema or movies in at all in the beginning. But then when I mean, I slowly discovered that area. I discovered cinematography. I discovered what lighting can do, like how a single color can change the whole mood of the scene, and I mean, how the directors play with lights to tell the story. I mean, modeling and everything is good, but when we talk about light, you don't need some high realistic some models or something. You can just tell the whole story by just by a couple lights. So that's what I mean. It felt like a magic to me. So I decided, okay, let's just dive deep into it, and then I actually started learning by watching tutorials and then learning doing documentation and then doing some self exploration. So after a couple of bumps, I was like, okay, let's just finally set this thing. But I
Okay,
was not
okay.
working professionally as a lighting artist until the beginning of this year. So my last
So
job.
so just to stop you from progressing too much,
Uh,
um, so you were saying that you had because before this you were also doing an art mentorship. So it's also interesting to find out what happened there in between. How did you become an art mentor, and what did you learn when you were an art mentor as well? And for Andre Ledermuller, um, if you want to have some more elaboration on confidence, we could also talk a little bit about that. It can be imposter syndrome. Maybe you're talking about that, so it's interesting for you to elaborate that, so we can tackle that as well as a topic if if you want to.
mhm.
But yeah, for Vishesh, so what happened when you ended up being an environment art mentor? Because this again was in between when
Mhm.
you were at Jill Media Studio. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, actually, I actually left the studio because there were some certain issues with the thing,
Right.
and the whole thing was just eating me from inside. I couldn't get. I mean, there were a lot of issues. If I were to point out, there's a complete list of them. So I don't want to mention anything or just say anything negative about them. So it was just, I was not feeling comfortable there. I was not feeling good. I mean, my mind was not in a good state. So I eventually left the studio, and then I started to prepare my portfolio towards lighting, because clearly after that point I was confident in myself that yes, I can make a career as a lighting artist.
So what
So
made
after
you confident though? Like what made you feel okay? This is something I can do. Um, yeah.
yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I saw the actual results and
Right.
when I got the feedback from all the other people and the directors of the movie, like, okay, this is looking very good, and I did some more iterations of that stuff as well, just to make sure this is not the luck. Like, I did this one thing and I got lucky that everyone liked it. So I just did some iterations, and then those things turn out good as well, and I was getting positive feedbacks from my friends as well. So
So
that's what boosted confidence in me.
So is that why you became confident to be an environment art mentor as well? That you took that
Oh, no, no.
opportunity, or what happened there?
Environment art mentorship was something different from this. I mean, that was just a random event. I was not even expecting that thing to happen. It was
Yeah,
just it just came randomly. It ended for about a couple months, and after that, it was. I mean, my part in the whole thing was just for a month as well, month or a month and a half.
right.
What I was basically doing is I was mentoring students about the basics of the art side of the Unreal Engine, because clearly I suck at developing and I stuck at developer side of the engine. So I'm just mainly confident in the artist side. I mean, the tools that are available for the artist. So I was mentoring them. I'm not actually mentoring them. We were just discussing about, because I'm still a junior. Because so yeah, learning together is the right term to. I mean, if you get specific. So yeah,
Okay.
we were discussing about some the basic workflow of the Unreal Engine, how to import some assets in the engine, how to create a
Uh,
set, what the basics of composition and the basics of art in general, like color theory, and all the stuff. So after the environments was created, and then I did them some tasks to create environments from a list and then light them according to. I gave them like 3 or 4 scenarios, and it was up to them. And they were working actually in a team, so it was up to them which scenario they would want to proceed. So they were free to just choose and select any one of them, and then try to focus the lighting and environment to that direction.
right.
Because yeah, so
Okay. Um, just a reminder for everyone, you are free to ask questions. Please like and subscribe as well. I see there's a lot of people coming and going and increasing. So if you're on Facebook, like. If you are on YouTube, do your thing. If you're on LinkedIn, do your thing. It does help. Also encourage me to keep interviewing people in my spare time and bringing you interesting content. And one of your students is here previously, Yogesh Kumar.
mhm.
He's giving you props and kudos. So he's
Thanks a
giving
lot,
you
man.
points. So here we have it on the screen. Yukesh Kumar giving you points.
Well, I'm really glad that you enjoyed that and you actually learned something, because I was not very confident in myself, because since I was teaching the first time when I was young as well, because some of the people I mentored was clearly much elder than me. So it was like weird for me to, and I was doing that stuff for the very first time. So you can just imagine the anxiety and all the stuff that went inside my head.
Yeah, especially in India. Let's sidetrack a bit because we have a couple of other things we want to talk about that's holistic to the culture as well as
Uh-huh.
Indian, right? So you
Yeah.
said elder, and in India, of course, if you're teaching someone who's older, there's a different kind of stress level and
Yeah,
respect that you
exactly.
have to do. So as a culture. So let's also talk a little bit about that, but also let's talk about. As far as I know, in India, a lot of Indians uh, do the same amount of work, same quality work, but they get paid less, and they might have longer hours. Treatment is different as a culture in India.
Hmm.
Um, and let's also eventually talk about the stress level that might come from being a student for some people compared to picking something like games, which might be less stressful because
Hmm.
it's more fun. So let's start with whatever you want. There's three topics. Remember the students coming because it's about gaming, but it's not about gaming. It's a lot of work. So let's start with that then, since we're about
Yeah,
schools,
sure.
right?
So I mean, whenever I meet someone who doesn't know what I'm actually doing. So whenever they ask me like what I do as a profession, or what I'm doing or what I'm studying. So whenever I mention that I'm doing some game designs, I'm working in the game dev industry. So we make games. Suddenly their reaction is like, "Whoa, man, you're so lucky. You get to play games all day. You just." I mean, it's just generic things. Like everyone has a certain image in their mind related to every other profession, right? Like when we think of a doctor, we have a certain image, like okay, these things are they do are what they do, but you never know the basics. I mean, the deep understanding of the field unless you have actually worked in it. So earlier, I actually also thought the same. Like okay, I will be playing games all day, and I will be just dragging some things around, and okay, the game is made. But then when I actually started working, it was like a whole lot of thing. I mean, some simpler games even can take up to months and months of planning and execution. So people might
Makes
think that
sense.
this is a very I mean, very happy job or a kind of a dream job. I mean, it is happy. People here are much more happier than any other industry, as far as I know.
Yeah, yeah.
But there is, but I mean, everything has a what do we call it? Everything has a negative side as well.
Right.
So you might need to work a little extra because a
Yeah.
normal 9 to 5 job doesn't apply here
It's
because sometimes,
competitive, right? It's very
yeah,
competitive, this kind of industry. And even as lighting artists, every day we are sharing stuff and we're looking at it and we're going, shit, I gotta go back and practice more. Even though
yeah,
like we're
same,
in the industry, maybe in my case, it's been 10 years since I graduated, right? But even when I
mhm,
see your work pop up and you're not, you're like, you're just getting started, I'm like, shit, I gotta go back and like, just let me just pop up some of his work. Like these are very good work that Vishesh is able to do, as he's not even finished with his school yet. So whenever he posts, I'm like, damn, I gotta work harder. This is not good. So it's definitely a stress also for some of us who are seniors, that we're looking at good stuff and like, nah, man, I can't be relaxing. There's too many talents, but especially from India as well. But I remember when I was student as well, we were
mhm,
25 students.
uh-huh,
I studied in Norway in this case, but it was the same thing. By the time I graduated, there was three of us.
okay,
Yeah, that finished
okay,
out of 25 students. And one of them is a teacher where we used to study now.
okay, yeah,
And yeah, whatever, you know where I am. I'm doing different stuff right
mhm,
now. And the
yeah,
other
exactly,
one, he got tired or something, I think.
okay,
The other one writes books right now, so he's more creative in
mhm,
that area. So people
mhm,
go the different way, and that's okay. At least people try and they learn and they do their thing. But how is that in terms of pay though? Because like in Norway, you get paid pretty well. We're talking about a lot.
mhm,
In UK, it's okay. In France, it starts dropping in the Western country.
mhm,
But when I do freelancing and then I do outsourcing business as well, when
uh-huh,
we compete against people from India, it's very price dependent
yeah,
because you have the same skill, but then you have like cheap Indians, and also a lot of people previously and still associate India with poor quality also. So
mhm.
I have people who go to Guru and what's these websites again? This freelancing website, Upwork.
Freelancer, yeah, freelancer.com. Ah, Upwork
Yeah,
is there.
yeah, and then like people will not hire Indians because of whatever reasons. So I got a message once from an Indian saying, "Can he use my Upwork account because it's Western based?" And said, "Because I can't get work, and if I use
Mhm,
yours, I'll get work." And he was willing to give me commission and payment and everything just to use my
mhm.
account. And I was like, "No, man, dude, that's gonna happen."
Yeah.
So let's talk about that because you mentioned a little bit about that, and you have a lot of Indians watching as well, so I'm sure they have some input as
Mhm.
well.
So yeah, I mean, work in India is like, I mean, right now I mean, in recent couple months, the industry is kind of improving here because since this whole game development is kind of new in India, right? Because it didn't existed like 5 years ago. I mean, it was still there, but it was not that known to people. Like now, when you ask, as when you compare to the people who know about it for the last 5 years, there's been a lot of changes. So I mean, there are a lot of people that are trying to get a job, get their first gig in the industry. So most of them, I mean, I have personally seen so many people like they learn some stuff. They're like, okay, I'm confident in this. I mean, people are just in a hurry to get their first job. They don't want to learn. They just want to get started and get their first job, and that's when this whole thing comes down. As you mentioned, the quality, because I mean, you can. I mean, it's obvious that if you don't know the complete about the stuff completely, you can't just output the perfect result, right? And I mean, I personally know so many people here who are just I mean, who didn't even pass out their college. They left their colleges in between just to start their art studios. Most of them will eventually close by the end of this year, and some are already closed.
Right.
So I mean this so this brings down the quality of the whole thing, because when you're looking for an artist to do some stuff for you, and you, I mean, you will eventually prefer a studio over a particular person unless you know him very well. So and when these studios, these people just open up their little studios, every second one of them, and then when they get work, and then eventually they are, I mean, some of them can deliver pretty good results, but most of them are not able. So which just, I mean, it brings down the global image of the people from India, right? Because so many people are just starting out, and in the beginning they just want to do some big stuff. I mean, there's a lack of patience, to that's what might be a big factor as well.
So you feel they're rushing, and you feel like a lot of Indians are doing a lot of different specialty tasks, and then the quality drops because they're trying to. Because I had their
Yeah,
mentorship
exactly.
session. I did a mentorship session. He wasn't an Indian though. He's actually in Western country, but
Hmm.
he did the same thing that a lot of other people do in general, regardless of
Hmm.
country.
Hmm.
He was doing like 3D modeling, VFX, lighting, and he was just applying to everything.
Yeah,
and
exactly. The
and I
same thing.
spent like 20-30 minutes coaching him that you need to pick one thing and just
Mhm.
be patient. But no, no, I want it now. I want it now. I want it
Yeah,
today.
exactly. That's the stuff I was talking about. People just want to try out every other thing. I mean, it's good that you want to try every other stuff, but you can't just excel in every one of them. So I mean, people just have hard time accepting that fact. They're like, okay, I can do 2D animation as well. I can do 3D
Yeah,
modeling as well. I can do animation stuff, animation too. But then when they actually get the some high level project, and they're like, wait, this was not actually what I was taught here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then that brings down the overall quality, and eventually the image of the stuff as well. And regarding the payment, I mean, I have seen so many smaller studios. Not talking about the bigger ones, because bigger studios have a reputation to keep as well, so they don't want to annoy their artists. I mean, there's still a lot of internal things that's very specific to others, to particular studios, but in general, this is the stuff I've seen in very small studios. I mean, they ask you to join, and what they'll say is, "We are a startup." So that's when they want to give you a kind of an image that since it's a startup, they don't have so much budget for an artist.
Right.
So they just expect you to get that image, and then you won't, so that you won't ask just for a very high value just upfront. So, and when they talk about the stuff, there's a lot of negotiation, a lot of back and forth, like, can you do this in this much? And then when the artist is not agree, he was when he like, suppose if a person asked me to do a stuff in $10, and I wanted 15, because clearly it's a week, it's a, I mean, I'm spending my days and spending my hours in doing that stuff, then I am confident that I can give a decent result. But then he was like, but then they'll be like, okay, but can you, I understand, but can you do it in 12 or $11, because we don't have that budget. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that so many people talk about, like the payments are just a total mess here. And then even if when you've done the work, some studios just hold up the money, and they'll be like, okay, we'll transfer it tomorrow, we'll transfer it the next day. I personally did a task where I mean, I was contacted to make a, a whole level. I mean, I was to do in modeling and lighting and final, just a game ready level, not just for shooting or VFX. It should be a game ready level. And what the payment was just too low. At that time, I was junior. I didn't know so much about the payments and stuff. I was actually looking for, just to trying out new stuff in the industry. So I eventually agreed. But then when I came to realize that, okay, this is way too low for the amount of work, because clearly on one level I need to spend at least 2 months per level, and the pay was around 15,000 Indian rupees, which is around it's around $200 for all the
Yeah,
stuff.
it's. I had an incident a few months ago where someone needed lighting shaft, god rays, and lighting for a sci-fi level,
Uh-huh.
and only $100. And I said, well, if I don't mind helping people, in often I will do it. But then he was like, yeah, but you also have to place it out in every level, and you have to do this and this. I was like, well, that's more than $100 of work.
Yeah,
That's gonna
obviously.
take me more than 3 hours to make something.
Mhm.
So no, but he was said, no, no, but if you can't do it, then it's okay. I'll find someone else. But he's spending. I think he spent a year now trying to find someone to do it. I was like, dude, just pay it for a professional like me properly,
Yeah,
and you would be
exactly.
done by now. What's wrong? But I have also had. I also worked for Indians outsourcing companies and had the same issue where they didn't pay on time,
Yeah, exactly.
they didn't even pay well, and there were no responsibility, and they did like it was just a terrible experience. Um, so a lot of stuff I don't put on my LinkedIn because it was just bad experience. So I just keep
Yeah,
it to
exactly.
myself. But
Yeah, I
let's
mean, I
ask.
still have, I also have a lot of folder in which I keep all my
Uh, a
discarded work.
blacklist.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do not touch that folder ever.
So let's see. I think there was at least two questions, unless someone is deleting the questions. So, Shubham is asking how important is to building friends in this community and expose yourself. So I'm guessing he means making.
Just
Well, I
marketing,
mean, it
networking.
depends. Yeah, but I don't know. It depends. Like, what is friendship? Is a topic I often talk about. Like, what do you mean friends? Do you mean like a professional relationship, or do you mean
Yeah,
what do
I
you mean?
mean, I think he meant I mean, professional friends, the ones who are in the industry actually.
Yeah, yeah. So, how important is that for you? Has that helped you at all?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the whole community actually helped me to push my art. I mean, it gave me so much confidence. I made my Twitter account in like 20 by the end of 2019 something. I made it earlier as well, but I was not just confident. I was not active, so it was just there for like a couple of days, and then I just deleted it right away. But then in 2019, I don't know what hit me. I just created an account and started following every game artist out there. The one I was seeing, I started following him, and some of them did follow me back. So I was engaging in conversations with them. I mean, Twitter had played a very important role in my career, to be honest. I nearly met all of my friends via Twitter,
Okay,
and some of them are still very good friends. When we talk about these Discord communities as well, I got to know about them on Twitter.
okay.
So marketing is very important in this thing, because if you are, I mean, suppose you are a prodigy, but no one knows about you. So what what will you do about the stuff? But suppose on the next hand, suppose you are a decent guy. I mean, you are a quick learner, but you have so many friends and people know you in the industry. Like, okay, this guy is fun. We like to work with this guy. I mean, so the guy with a lot of friends will be obviously preferred above the other one who doesn't have any friends or won't like to talk about the stuff.
If you see a blinking light, it's because my rim light is about to die and run out of battery. It doesn't. I didn't fully charge it, so that's why it's gonna get dark on this side soon. So don't worry about that. I'll still
Just a
be here.
contrast. It is.
You have another point from Kirti. She's missing you. Uh,
Oh man, I mean, I would love to answer the questions, but I mean, since I'm right now, it's very hectic to me to for me to manage times with all the stuff I'm doing and all the personal work I'm doing as well. So, I mean, I try to answer all the questions whenever if someone reaches me out on Instagram or DMs me on
right.
Discord, because it's hard to look for every message in Discord server,
Yes, it is. But
especially
we
if
have
it's,
time to answer questions on this YouTube, so you don't get
yeah, you can
away
ask,
today.
yeah, you can ask them here.
This is the time to ask him. So Shubham has another good question. How many hours do you put in every day on work, and what's your daily routine?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean,
Let's keep
I
it
don't
up.
actually, I don't actually count my hours while working, because my daily routine is just I woke up in the morning. I woke up pretty late because I usually am up all night. So I just woke up by 9 a.m. or something, 9 or 9:30, and then I just get all the morning stuff, and then I sit to my desk at around 11 p.m. 11 a.m. is sorry, and then since then it is like the first hour I spend is just by going through the emails and then reading some articles on the which other artists publish on various websites, and then I'll just check all my Discord servers and the stuff, and then after that I'll just start working on the projects I was working. If there's not a deadline nearby, I just spend that early time working on my personal stuff if I have a one ongoing. So I mean, that's how I spend my whole day. And I mean, after a couple hours, I just take a little break just for lunch and stuff, and after that, I take a little rest for an hour or so. And in the evening, I just come back to my desk as well. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not consistent about timing, especially during the days, because since I live with a family, so I mean, you can't just be to yourself while living in a family. You have to help with the houseworks and all the other stuff as well.
Right. That's
So
cool. Just a reminder, everyone, please like the video. It attracts people when we are live and afterwards. Please subscribe to show your support so I can keep looking for people and interview people. And don't care where you're watching. That's the least I am asking people to help me, please. And let's see. There's a comment which I think is interesting. One is tough subject, which brings up a follow-up question from Colonel Fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, uh, how do you decide what you should get paid now? Because you said in the beginning you didn't know. Which, but obviously you still knew, but you've done a couple of projects, you've worked for a little bit here and there, which does increase your awareness at least. So how do
Mhm.
you now decide how much you should get paid?
I mean, whenever someone contacts me about the project or if they want work to be done, the first thing I actually ask them about is what's their actual budget of the whole project, so that I just don't bombard them with some insane amount of money. Like, okay, the budget is like $2,000, and I'm certainly asking for 1,000 to just to myself. So I
Yeah,
usually
makes
plan.
sense.
So I usually plan my work. I mean, once I know the budget, I then see the what kind of work I'll be doing and what and how amount of time I'll be dedicating to that work. I mean, if it's a small work, then I'll be just like, okay, we can be done with a small amount. But if it's a large work and it will require some months or maybe some so much effort from my side, then it will be a kind
So
of
let's
problem.
go in detail, and Kirti is also curious, right? She's also asking, how do you decide the price for freelance project, for example? So while you talk about that, I'm just gonna remove the light here and switch on the lights in the background.
Mhm. I mean, as a freelance, as I mentioned, the first thing I'd do is just to ask them about the budget. I mean, like what the budget of the whole project is, and then once you know the budget, I mean, then you'll get an actual idea of what kind of amount you're gonna get. And after that, I mean, you need to be, I mean, you need to be very frank about the whole money related conversation as well, because you can't just, okay, he knows me, he will pay me eventually. Because I mean, relationships are on their own way, but when we talk about money, let's just be professional here. So after you get to know the budget, so you can just talk about what kind of I mean, what the exact work you will be doing. Suppose if you want to do I mean, if they want me to do lighting on a level, so then I would ask how I mean, how big the level is, or how many levels are there in general. So if it's just one small level, I will charge for a less fee depending on their budget, of course. Like around $300 to $400 if it's a decent level, not just a very childish. If they want a decent result, I would just ask them around 300 to 400 US dollars. But if it's a big level, like, and I have to do so much light baking and so much iterations, like I have to get approval of them every time I do some stuff, then it will be a lot higher, because since clearly I'll be spending much more time than that smaller level, right?
So
So
do you take per hour or do you calculate the package price? Because I missed
I
one of the points.
actually don't do it per hour because I'm not consistent during
Hmm.
daytime as well. So that might be not fair for them and for me as well,
So
just to
for a
charge
big
them.
level, you do 400.
Yeah, for just for a single level, I'll easily go with 400 if they're
So
okay with that.
how big is big? Like from playtime, do you calculate playtime? Do you calculate
Uh,
the distance? Do you what? How do you know it's big?
I mean, it's a big like. I mean, it's a little difficult for me to put it in words. I
So
mean, I recently.
let's say for the let's
I mean,
say
it's an interior scene. Like you have a.
is this big? No, this is small. This is
Okay.
super small,
This
right?
is, yeah, this is super small.
This is super small. Okay,
Mhm.
this is also still super small, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I
So
guess I don't have any big projects on my art station because they were, I mean, they're still in NDA, so I can't post them on my portfolio right now. Like I was talking, suppose I need to light an interior scene, like it's an archive scene. I need to get lighting of the whole interior. So if it's a decent size room, like suppose, I mean, you get to know if it's if a level it's too big, it's using so many sub levels, and it's so very well in terms of size and stuff.
let's say a house. It's a two-story house.
Yes.
There's five rooms. There's about two bathrooms. There's two
Mhm.
hallways. Is that big for you?
Yeah, that's kind of big for me, because since there are so
Okay.
many rooms and 5 rooms per floor, 5 rooms
That
per floor or in total.
one, two, three per floor.
Yeah, so then it's a big one, because I need to go and
I'm thinking about my family house now. I'm like, okay, how many how many rooms are there?
yeah. So I
Okay,
mean, it's
but that's
just.
cool. That's
Mhm.
interesting. So 400 is your max price then for like something like
Yeah. Uh,
house.
mhm.
I mean, that's not bad. I mean, maybe I should hire you to do some of my projects. But so when I do my lighting, most of my projects are super big. Like we're talking
Hmm.
about open world type of big, right?
Uh-huh.
It
Okay.
takes at least 10 minutes to just run through everything and ignore everything, but it takes maybe a half an hour to look through everything.
Hmm.
But I normally take now I take maybe up to $90 per hour. That's price
Hmm.
basically my
Okay.
price. But I
Hmm.
used to take 25 first, and then 45, then
Hmm.
60, and now I do
Hmm.
90. And I take 90 because they're coming to me. It's not the
Yeah,
other way
exactly.
around, right?
Because if you're
It's
starting out, you
interesting.
just don't wanna. Because if you're starting out, you just don't want to put an absurd amount of money. Because since you are a beginner, you need to get project.
Yeah,
But eventually, you can just start increasing it as many people know you. I
yeah,
mean,
but
I recently did a. I recently did a pretty big project. Like it is a pack upcoming pack by an artist studio. So I did a lighting with them along with two other lighting artists. So I mean that was a pretty big project for me. It took me around a month or so to complete. Just I mean it was around 13 camera shots and then overall lighting in general, daytime and nighttime as well. So that was
okay,
kind of big for me. Yeah.
that's cool. Um, So let's see. I want to make sure we get all the questions. Uh, and Viksha ask any advice you want to give that helps you become a better artist.
The main thing is just interacting with other artists. I mean, just DM them. Just don't annoy them. I mean, just don't just start messaging every artist. Hey, hello, I need your help. Just first engage in conversations, like reply to their tweets or stuff. I mean, I'll just put Twitter in as an example. Just engage with their tweets. Just try to get involved in conversation. Just don't message them directly because most of the time you will just be ignored. I have been ignored so many times as well, so that's why I'm just saying it from experience. Just don't message them directly. Just try to get indulge in conversations. Try to get hold of what common topics you can discuss, because everyone's talking about art their whole days since they're working, and so you can just try out some different topics as well. So once you are engaged in the conversation, you can just you can then message them, because then it increases your chance to get a reply. And once you get a reply, then it just begins a conversation. Just don't be, just don't be too rude or arrogant. Just be a nice and polite, because since they are senior and you are just a junior, and you are approaching them, not them, so you might just need to keep your things. You just need to be polite and stuff. And networking is the most important thing in this thing. Right after portfolio.
That's good. I like these questions because they're asking some of the question we were going to talk about anyway. So
Mhm.
the next question is from Manuel. How is Lumen going to affect lighting artists? So we wanted to talk about it actually. So
Yeah.
this is a good time to bring it up. So
Mhm.
because lighting is getting easier with Unreal 5 type of
Yeah.
technology, and it's probably going to get easier. It's going to do a lot of your math. It's going to do a lot of your calculation. So what's going to happen to us? Are we going to go out of the job? Are we going to have to focus more on something else? What's going to happen? Like, what is your thoughts
Uh,
and opinion on this?
to be honest, I don't think we're gonna get out of jobs, because you can give a DSLR to everyone, but not everyone is a good photographer, right? So I hope you get the gist of it. So Lumen has certainly made so many things very easy. You don't need to think of as a lighting artist just, oh, where should I put my fill lights? How do I calculate the bounces just to make things look realistic? You can just now drag in a light and then it will calculate automatically according to the physics. I don't know what black magic they're working under the hood, but yeah, Lumen. It has certainly reduced working hours, because the in the scene that once used to take a couple days can be done within a couple hours now. In the recent scene which I posted, like of a locker room, I did it with Lumen, and it was, to be honest, the whole lighting took me just around 40 to 45 minutes. It was just a single light, and then it automatically calculated all the bounces, and I didn't have to put any fill lights. But if I had to do it without Lumen, I had to first bake the lights and see what kind of effect the bake is giving me, and then I need to think about my fill lights and stuff. So it has certainly reduced the stress load on the artist. And everyone is right now free to experiment, go and experiment. So it has just made iterations a lot more easier. But we are not going to
That's
go out of job, because lighting is about. Everyone can do lighting, right? Everyone does lighting when they render out their 3D models. but there's difference between doing it professionally, because you need to know the basics of how lights actually work. If you don't know the basics of color combinations, like you don't know what colors work together well, you might just put every light in a scene and then wonder about, okay, I did put so many lights like this artist have done, but why is my result not looking so good? And you also need to be considerate about the shadows, because lighting is just halfway there and shadows is the other half, so you can't just ignore any one of them. You can tell stories through shadows as well. So Lumen is
Okay.
just I mean, it's just like a time machine for us.
So, do you think we need to stand out more creatively then, artistically?
Yes, because since the Lumen is handling the technical side very well for now,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you might need to focus more on the artist side, because yeah, since you can just play slides and get the bounces, but you can't just think aesthetically, like how the scene will tell the story, right? So it's just the right time, because most of technical things are just going under the hood, so we don't need to worry about it anymore. So we just need to focus on the artist side. That's what make us stand out of the thing
Hmm.
of the other artists.
Uh, we don't have much time left, so let's move on to the next question, which you probably can't answer unless you have very strict free NDAs. But do you have any favorite project you worked on so far that you can talk about?
I mean, most of my favorite projects are under NDAs, so I
Yeah.
can't just actually talk about it. But one of I can talk about my favorite personal pieces.
Yes, we are going to end our stream with talking about the personal species. So let's do the last question, which is Kirti. What are your experiences on lighting for open world versus interior scenes? Do you approach these two cases differently?
Yeah, I actually was ready to answer about this question. I was just hoping someone might ask it. So lighting for interior and exterior scenes are same but different. I mean, when we talk about exteriors, there's a straightforward process. Like these are steps you need to do first, then you can just go in. If you like, suppose if you talk about if you have a landscape light. So what I'll do is what my workflow is. I'll add a directional light just to simulate the sunlight, and then I'll add that skylight, and then since now the Lumen is doing everything real time, so I will just I mean I'll get the I mean, this will just just complete a bigger chunk of my whole lighting process. I mean, I'll get the feel like, okay, I need to push the lighting toward this thing and the other thing. So after that, I'll add some fill lights just to fill out the scene, and then I'll be considering the story elements of the scene, like where to focus, where the eye should focus, what the story the scene is telling.
Okay.
So for the exterior, it's just basically add a skylight and a directional light, and then you're basically halfway there.
Unless
But
it's
for
night
the
scene and you have
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
nights. Yeah. Okay.
Night scenes are just, I mean, they are little different. You still need to add a light and a skylight as well. If you're looking in the sky, but if you're not looking at the sky, it's just suppose you're walking in an alleyway, so it's just different kind of lights that are coming in from all the light sources that are present in the street, like light bulbs and neon signs, and if there's moonlight, so we need to consider the moonlight as well. Like,
That's a good point. Just a reminder for everyone: please like, please subscribe. But also, I am creating a Discord channel for the community. Not sure what I'm going to do there just yet, but people asked me. So the Discord link is under the at least the YouTube link, at least I think. So feel free to join that if you want to be part of the community and help out there. That would be really cool. I will also leave a comment in the chat to join, at least on Facebook and YouTube, and we will just keep answering some of the questions because apparently you're popular. So I should do more Indian talks because there's a lot of you. Sujay is asking, what do you think about virtual production in Unreal Engine and uses of Unreal Engine apart from the game industry? That's a good
uh,
question.
yeah, I mean, virtual production is just everywhere these days. I mean, you see small advertisements to big series are being made virtually by using Unreal Engine. So, I mean, within a couple of years, the green screens will be just completely abandoned, and eventually they will all move to those big LED screens. Right now, those screens are way too costly, so you might need a very big budget just to be able to afford that, and you also need so heavy machines just to run the Unreal Engine on those big screens. So right now it's not affordable to everyone, but I mean, as just seeing the progress in these times, so I mean, it will just be a matter of couple years. So every most of the people might be able to afford it. And apart from game industry, Unreal is nowadays it's been used in nearly most industries. Like they people shoot advertisements in it, they make short films, and they make apps inside the engine. They make some little test simulations. They do simulations. I mean, recently I saw on our station, an artist did an entire fashion show inside the engine. I mean, it was trending in 80 level as well on art station. So there are so many scopes. You can just name it, and Unreal Engine is there.
Nice. And Ellen Small
Mhm.
is asking, what do you prefer when it comes to lighting in Unreal Engine 4, static or dynamic, or the other
Stationary.
one for that matter? Yeah,
I
stationary.
mean,
Yeah,
it just totally depends on the kind of project I'm working. If it's mostly exterior and it's not game related, I'll just go with dynamic because exterior scenes takes a lot of time to bake lighting, right? And they, you need to make sure everything is fine. Everything is just it has correct resolution of light maps. It has all those the I mean the light bounces are correct. World settings are right. Your text resolutions are good. So it's a lot of I mean it's a headache if we were to bake light in an exterior scene, in a big exterior scene. So for exteriors I generally prefer dynamic, but in static lights are best if you want most organic result, because it calculates after the bake, it calculates the light bounces very well. So if you're looking for I mean just a physically correct result, and if you're not consider, I mean it's obviously much more game performance friendly. So since the light maps are already baked in, so if it's in I mean if you are just limited by hardware, I would go with static or stationary. And if you have I mean if you have right amount of hardware, and if your platform is powerful enough, you can just combine dynamic with static. I mean that's when stationary lights come in. So you can just do the initial bakes for the key lights by keeping them static or stationary, and then you can just keep all those other fill lights dynamic. So your character might will light lit very well when he'll walk through a certain area, and it won't affect the performance that much. So I hope this clears the question.
cool. So I hope if you guys want Vishesh back, because we are gonna start ending the stream now. If you want him back in the future to cover more stuff, maybe do a breakdown, please leave a like, please leave a comment, so I know he is wanted by the community itself. Remember to join the Discord. I would like to end the stream by saying thank you to Vishesh for showing up. Thank you for being I know we were originally gonna have this talk a week ago or something, but then there was like problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So but now we have done it, and hopefully we can keep doing it. And I'm going to talk to Vishesh a little bit afterwards to get his input about the experience here. So that
Mhm.
will happen after I click end in a few seconds. Before I click end, I would like to remind everyone who is still watching that I have Dylan King from Retro Studios. He is being interviewed this Saturday. He also went from straight from the university and becoming a lighting contractor. So feel free to tune in then to watch him as well. So Vishesh, any final words before we end the stream?
Just first of all, just thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining and taking time to join in the stream. And I hope those who have asked questions have learned something, and the stream went smooth. If you still have any doubt, you can just feel free to reach me out on Discord or any other platform. And thank you, Amit, once again for having me as a guest in this live stream. And I hope we'll do some more streams in future, so I
Yeah,
can just
for
share
sure.
more of it. Because since there was time constraints, so I couldn't talk about much about my projects. So maybe in future I can just we can just do a proper live stream in which I just dissect my a couple of my personal projects, so we all can get just some insight of how I actually work.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. That's also the point of keeping things within an hour, is so people want to see more, and you can prepare it even more for the next stream, and we can like
Yeah,
do something together. So definitely, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna click end in a few seconds, and then talk to Vishesh on my own and keep all the knowledge for myself. Thank you, and thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.
thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.